Hi and welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Today we would be discussing the solution of this problem. In this problem, we are given a number n as string itself, and then we need to divide the string in two parts such that none of the part is empty, and the first part would be divisible by a and the next part would be divisible by b. In other words, dividing this part by a gives the remainder 0, and dividing this part with b gives the remainder b. And you can't leave spaces in between. That is, you need to divide the string in half. Suppose this is the whole string, then you need to make a cut in the between such that this part would be divisible by a, this part would be divisible by b. You can't ignore any part. Okay, fair enough. So we have 1200 and then 4 and 3. So we can see that if we make the first number as 12 and the next number as 00, then we can say that 12 is divisible by 4 and 0 is divisible by 3. Okay, fair enough. Now there is one more concern, that suppose 1200, then 120 is also divisible by 4 and 0 is also divisible by 3. But the first point at which this cut can be made needs to be reported. Okay, now we would move forward. So the first approach that comes in our mind is, suppose we have 1 2 3 4 5 6. The first approach is that we make a cut here, and then the number would be 1 and then 2 3 4 5 6, and if we make a cut here, then the number would be 1 2 3 4 5 6. Similarly, if we make a cut here, this would be 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, similarly, if we move forward, we can make a cut here, we can make a cut here, and these are parts. But we can't make a cut here, we can't make a cut here, because that would lead to an empty part. So this is the brute force approach, but the brute force approach would fail. Why brute force approach would fail? Because if we move forward, we can have this number converted from string to integer, and then it should pass, but it won't pass due to this following reason, that the size is till 10 to the power 6 itself. So n has a size till 10 to the power 6. So if we have a number of size suppose 10 to the power 6 minus 1, because at max the number of elements in the string can be 10 to the power 6. So it might be the case that the next number is 1 and the first number is till 10 to the power 6, whatever is in the original array. So I would just show you, suppose n is 5. Suppose n is 5. Suppose we have something as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and a is equal to 1 2 3 4 and b is equals to 5. Okay, so we can say that we need to go till the last element minus 1. So we would go till this point and we would be having that this is the first string, this is the second string itself. Okay, but we have 10 to the power 6. So making and executing a number with size 10 to the power 6 digits in it would not be feasible. Okay, so we need to find a feasible method to this. So the feasible method to this, the feasible, whenever we have a large number and and the next indication is that we need to do the divisibility. So if we need to do this thing and the work is dependent upon the remainder, so remainder is the most important step here, and we need to divide it up to get the remainder, and it is a large number. So if we need the remainder to see if it is 0 or not, and if it is a large number, then what you can do is you can only store the remainder itself. And if you store the remainder itself, remainder of by dividing by a and b, so after the remainder would be always 0 till 10 to the power 6 minus 1. Why? Because a's largest value is 10 to the power 6, that is less than equal to n. So it would revolve from 0 to n to the power 6 minus 1. And we can execute a number from 0 to n to the power 6 minus 1. We can easily do that. This is how we would do that. So what we can do is, suppose we have something known as, we would just move here. If we have 1200, okay, if we have 1 2 0 0, if we have 1200 and the first number is 4, it is A, and the next number is 3, that is B itself. Now what we can do is, we need to divide the part of the left hand side with A. So what we can do is, instead of processing again and again, we can do some pre-processing to save the processing. If we make a division here, that means we need from all the prefix from 0 till this point. If we make a cut here, then we need the prefix from 1 to 2, that is from starting to this point. So we want the prefix remainder after dividing by A. So I would just say prefix remainder after A. We need this. Now, before moving forward, it might be the case that what is the meaning of prefix? Prefix is nothing but, suppose we have A, B, C, D, then we need to start from the first character, and we can need to go, and we can't skip characters. So if we go till this point, then A is the prefix. If we go till this point, A, B is also a prefix. If we go to this point, A, B, C is also a prefix. If we go to this point, A, B, C, D, everyone is a prefix. Fair enough? And in the same way, if we go from the first last character, this is suffix, D is a suffix, CD is a suffix, BCD is a suffix, ABCD is a suffix. Okay, so we know that we need to start prefix after A itself. Then what we can do is, we can go from the back and we can say that suffix remainder after B. So we can store the prefix remainder after B and a suffix remainder after B, and we can use do array to do this. One can be said from L to R by A. So we have L to R by A, and then we have R to L by A by B. So how we can do this? I would show you that. So see, suppose if we have the string itself, what we would do is, we would store the remainder after dividing by 4. So if we divided by 4, the remainder would be what? The remainder would be 1. Okay, so remainder is 1. So we can say that if we divide the number from starting till the 1 point, the remainder will be 1. To cross check this, yes, it is. Then we move forward. We take the last remainder, multiply it by 2. So multiply it with 10. So 10 multiplied by 10 plus the current digit, that is 12. And then divide it by 4. So the value would be 0. So we would just store here 0. Next we move forward. The previous value 0 multiplied by 10 and add 0, that is 0 plus 0 is equals to 0. So the value is 0. Then we move forward and we would do the same. And in the same way, we would go from the back and we would do the same. Okay. So when I would implement it, you would have a better idea of this. The idea of this prefix and suffix is same as kind of prefix array itself. So what we would do is, we would initialize a RL of size n and then LR of size n, where RL would store the remainder from right side to left side, and it would store from left side to right side. So let's start with the first one, that is from left side to right side itself, because it is more simpler. So LR of 0, because we need the previous character. So if we sit on the first index and we try to access the previous character, then we would obviously have array out of bounds. So we would just copy the first character. So S of 0, and we need to subtract the ASCII value of 0 itself. Okay, then we need the modulo of A itself. Then we would start the for loop from int I is equals to 1, because 0 is already processed, till the last point and I plus plus, then LR of I is equal to LR of I minus 1. Then we would multiply it with 10 to get the current number, and then we would add the value, that is S of I subtracted the value of 0. Fair enough? And then we do the modulo operator, modulo P. Then we move forward and then we do RL of n minus 1 is equal to S of n minus 1. The last character is again copied because we are moving from that side. So we need the index at this side. If we are sitting at the last index and we are trying to access this side, there is no element exists. So we would have array out of bounds. So we have the digit itself and then modulo b, and then we would start from int I is equals to n minus 2, I is greater than equal to 0 and I minus minus. Then RL of I is equal to what? RL of I plus 1 multiplied with something. What is that something? I would tell you. Okay, suppose we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would go from this side, the first character is processed. Then if we go to this side, then what we need to do is we need to multiply this number, multiply with this number with 10, okay, and then add 4. This is it. If we go this side, then what we need to do is we need to multiply this number with 100 and then whatever is the current one, okay, that is 3 itself. If we are going at this side, then 1 multiplied by 1000. So at each step the power of 10 is increasing. By the way, this thing would be the this side remainder, okay. So it is increasing. So what we would do is, and we need to multiply it with the previous one, okay. So we would have something known as int pow is equals to 10, okay, and this would be pow, okay. Then we would add it, okay, we would add what? S of I minus the value of 0, and then we do a modulo of B itself. Fair enough? Then we would simply move forward. After moving forward, what all things needs to be done? Okay, we would now see that at what condition this side is equals to 0 and this side is also equals to 0. Okay, fair enough? But before that, we need to increment the power of 10. So what we would do is PW is equals to PW into 10. We would add PW into 10 and then modulo of B. And then what we would do is we would have the for loop. Int I is equals to 0, I is less than equal to n minus 1 and I plus plus. Why this thing? Because suppose we saw if we have A, B, C, D, we can make a cut here and we can say that we need this place and we would need this place. Okay. Then we make a cut here. I would say I would need this side and I would this side. But if we make a cut this side, we won't be able to go this side. That is why we are only going till the last minus 1. So last is n and we are going till n minus 1, less than n minus 1. So if left to right of I is equals to 0 and right to left of I plus 1 is also equals to 0, then what we need to do is return s dot sub str. This has the substring, this would get the substring from the index 0 and it would accept I plus 1 character because it is 0 indexed. So simply we would go and accept the I plus 1 characters. We would have a space in between, blank space in between. Then we would have s dot sub str and then I plus 1. We won't provide anything. Why? Because if we don't provide anything, it would take till the last cell by default. And if we are not able to return something, then we would return simply a minus 1 itself. Now let us submit this and see if we are making any errors or not.